Should Christians listen to Taylor Swift? Hello and welcome to the Daily Bible College show. Yeah, this is for Bible College. I'm preparing for this presentation for a research project tomorrow, and my question is, should Christians listen to Taylor Swift or go to Taylor Swift concerts? And I have to do a presentation on this project tomorrow. So the reason I'm doing this is because, Taylor Swift, big superstar. She is apparently the first billionaire musician, the first person to get over $1 billion just from her music and the concerts alone. And the truth is that there are Christians who listen to Taylor Swift, but I think there's a kind of conflict that happens inside someone who goes to church on Sundays and then on Mondays goes to, say, a Taylor Swift concert, because I think they feel that conflict between the Taylor Swift culture and the church culture. Taylor Swift, is admittedly very pop, very worldly, but particularly so because Taylor Swift herself promotes stuff like LGBT and feministic agendas that might go against certain beliefs in church and in Christianity. So there's that conflict there. But also I want to look at a connection between worship culture, because I'm not sure if this is true, but people have been telling me that going to a Taylor Swift concert is almost very spiritual. And apparently I read this article that said that at the beginning of some of these concerts in the US, people are shouting out to Taylor Swift on the stage. They're saying, "Take us to church, Taylor." That means they're using this kind of Christian church lingo to describe what it's like going to one of her concerts. And I wonder if it works the other way around as well. That is, we're kind of borrowing elements that we see from Taylor Swift, from her concerts, from her way of presenting things into our worship experience in church, such that we maybe even try to be Taylor Swift on Sundays from the front when leading worship. So that's one of the motivations. That's kind of like explaining and expanding that question, should Christians listen to Taylor Swift? And I get this from reading and sourcing out quite a few articles that I found on the internet, not least a few academic articles. I found a few master's student thesis papers written on Taylor Swift. That means they spent their master's studying Taylor Swift, and they got their master's from these papers, studying the music industry, studying her music in detail. But also interestingly, I also found many Christians writing articles on Taylor Swift, whether she's a Christian or whether her music is has Christian elements to it. And there's this particular one. I'm not sure. I think it's by Premier Christianity. It's quite a short article, but it argues that Taylor Swift, I didn't know this, had a very Christian upbringing. She's almost like a cultural Christian, and this might be true of many Americans growing up in the Cowboy West area of the Midlands of the US, whereby they were brought up going to church, and that's apparently her heritage. But then this article goes on to claim that she ended up deconstructing a lot of her Christian beliefs. That means she starts questioning her relationship with God. And I think even traces that some of these might have come from her relationship with people, some breakups. And that caused her to question, the sincerity of these relationships and the existence of God because of these incidences that she experienced in life. And there were lots of these articles. Another one that struck me was one Christian writer saying that, "I wish I could love God the way that these Swifties love Taylor." Or rather, I want to love God the way that Swifties love Taylor Swift. And there again is that maybe even admiration for the adoration that the fans have for Taylor. And I think they identify certain traits like her sincerity and her humility even. I didn't know this, and her kind of accessibility that makes that experience of coming to a concert or listening to music something that's very intimate and very personal. So yeah. I have to do some researchy things. I think I have to come up with questionnaires to try to measure certain things. So I'm still figuring that out. One idea I had was to kind of like latch on to the Aries concerts that are happening last year. I think they're happening very soon in Singapore, and try to see who I know is going, and to try to survey their responses to these, especially if they're Christians, to see how they felt the concert went, whether they had any conflict of interests. So I meant to have like a measurement. That means I could see how many Christians went for these concerts. Or maybe another idea I had was to have a screening of maybe not the latest one, but maybe the Reputation concert that's on Netflix. Or I know there's like a documentary, I could screen it for some friends and get them to answer a questionnaire after that, and then measure the response to that, and ask them not just what they thought of the documentary of Taylor Swift, which will be very interesting if they actually aren't fans of Taylor Swift, but then to ask them as well, what kind of musical preferences they have when it comes to, what they listen to. Spotify, do you listen to K-pop or classical music? And see if there's that kind of correlation between those kind of preferences to then whether they like Taylor Swift or not. So I think I'm now into like the research part. I think I'm also supposed to do some kind of unstructured research, a kind of like an interview that doesn't have set questions, but kind of like see where it goes. And I'm wondering whether I could interview an anti-fan of Taylor Swift, someone that doesn't like Taylor Swift, but who is a Christian. And I can actually think of a few people who kind of like fit that category. Okay, quite a few who kind of like feel, hey, why are you going to watch this concert, or why even doing a research topic on this? They feel almost offended like this, and it will be really, really interesting to talk to them and ask them why. What is it that they feel makes them offended when they watch someone like Taylor Swift performing on stage. So yeah, that's kind of like my idea that I have so far, the progress I have so far. I haven't started the research yet. I meant to just present a kind of an intro into my ideas tomorrow and get feedback as to how I could progress and work on this over the next few months. Yeah, should be interesting. Taylor Swift and her impact on Christians. Maybe not just young, but also maybe older as well. And to see how it goes both ways, how it's impacting Christians, but how also maybe Christians are maybe impacting the way, that she does her concerts. Again, that comparison between worship services and the concerts, and also going to church and having that access to Taylor in one of these concerts.